Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to break down how Barcelona have one foot in the Champions League final with a comfortable 3-0 win over Liverpool at the Camp Nou. We're going to see how Liverpool approached the game with the midfield diamond, how it caused Barcelona problems, and how both sides gained advantages in the first half before we move to the second half and see how Liverpool improved before Lionel Messi killed them off. But before we do that, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. But first, let's get to the starting lineups. We look at Barcelona, more of a 4-4-2 with Messi and Suarez up front, Coutinho a bit higher on the left-hand side with Vidal on the right, and Busquets and Rakitic in midfield. Then we move to Liverpool, more of a 4-4-2 diamond as well. Suarez and Mane just ahead of Wijnaldum, and in midfield you have Milner and Naby Keita shuttling ahead of Fabinho. So now let's get to the first half, see how both sides look to approach the game and how Barcelona went into halftime up 1-0. So when we break down Liverpool's loss against Barcelona, we'll start with Liverpool. Like I said, they did start in a midfield diamond, Barcelona dropping off into a 4-4-2 without the ball. We did see Barcelona spend large portions of this match without the ball, dropping off in a deeper block, probably to ensure that Liverpool couldn't break in behind to harm them. But they did encounter some issues here, and Liverpool did have a bright spell in the opening period. One of the reasons why was because of Barcelona's pressing. Liverpool did have 3v2 going forward because Messi and Suarez were stepping to Van Dijk and Matip, and Fabinho was dropping into space here, and no one was really looking to pick him up in those earlier stages. But once they did, Barcelona just were outnumbered in midfield, because basically what happens here is that with Messi and Suarez not really looking to drop back into the midfield from a defensive aspect, you have Coutinho, who's supposed to be shifting out to the left, you have Vidal, who should be shifting out to the right, and then you have Busquets and Rakitic. And what we would end up seeing here is Rakitic would push forward to Fabinho, and we'd have Busquets stepping to Keita, but then you'd have James Milner free to get onto the ball. At one point, we did see Coutinho kind of drop into that space, but that does leave Joe Gomez free, which is probably what Barcelona would want to prefer. But we did see an opportunity where this was exposed, because as Barcelona did press from the front on a goal kick, we did see Alisson played out to Keita, and Keita ended up sliding the ball out to the left-hand side for Robertson, which forced Vidal there. And we saw Milner make a run across, and those two combined for Robertson to bypass Vidal. And what you end up seeing here is how Liverpool wanted it. They had Mane looking to make the run in between Piqué and Sergio Roberto. You had Wijnaldum occupying the center backs, and then you have Salah isolated with Alba. And you saw Robertson play the ball into Wijnaldum, who guided the ball again into the path of Mane. Piqué comes across and does bundle him over. Was it a penalty? Was it not? We did see Mane get in behind, and that was a big worry for Barcelona. Mane was doing a good job of causing Barcelona problems by trying to make that run in behind, and we'll get to him a bit later on. But that was the run he was trying to make. Wijnaldum was occupying that space, like I said, and Salah was down the left-hand side. And Barcelona did encounter some issues here because Salah was getting the better of Alba. There were times where Alba was caught high or forced to press Gomez because Coutinho wasn't, and he was able to run at Longley. One of Liverpool's better chances did see Salah from a deeper position break on the counter-attack from Milner clearance. He skipped past Vidal, he skipped past Longley, and he looked to play the pass into Mane between Piqué and in between Roberto, but the intervention was made, and it was a last-ditch tackle, and that stopped them from doing that. But that was kind of how Liverpool were going about their business. Mane and Salah were doing a good job in that respect, and without the ball, they were doing a good job as well, because like I said, you have Wijnaldum sticking to Busquets, who did drop off a bit deeper when Barcelona had the ball, so he would step into that position, and you would see Wijnaldum step to him. You would have Mane and Salah look to close out the space in between the center backs and the fullbacks, and then in midfield, everything was kind of shaped up there because Fabinho would step to Rakitic, you would have Keita step to Vidal, in midfield as well. And then Barcelona really struggled to bypass them as the game wore on. We saw this more in the second half, and we'll get to that a bit later. But that is where Barcelona were encountering some issues. Before Liverpool made a slight modification, Naby Keita was forced to come off. Jordan Henderson did come on, and Milner moved to the left-hand side. And what we did see here as the half wore on was that Robertson now was looking to push forward when Vidal was caught out of position. There was one play in particular where Vidal lost the ball and Robertson did bomb forward. And what happened was that he was stepped by Roberto, but he played the ball around him, and Mane was able to spin off Piqué, and Robertson continued his run beyond Busquets and Piqué to get the ball back in that left half space, but his cross into the box saw Alba get across Salah to ensure that those lines were cleared. Henderson did offer a threat from the right-hand side. On 2 occasions, he did deliver crosses from a deep right channel position for Mane. The first time breaking across Roberto, and Roberto cleared it out of danger. And the second time, a better ball across Lenglet and Alba for Mane, again making the run between Piqué and in between Roberto to get across Roberto, but he poked his effort over the net. Besides that, their pressing still was the same, and like I said, the wider players blocking off the passes into the fullbacks. We had Henderson pushing out to Alba, and then Milner stepping to Vidal, and you had Fabinho stepping to Rakitic. So now let's get to Barcelona, see how they were able to take the lead in the first half and cause Liverpool some problems. So now when we look to Barcelona, we do have to stress that they did drop off a bit deeper, like I said earlier on. And one of the reasons why they did drop off deeper into more of a deep 4-4-2 was because when they did press from the front, they were encountering some issues. Because when you look at it, if you have Messi and Suarez stepping out to the center backs, you have the wider players in Vidal and Coutinho pushing out to the full backs, and even with Rakitic stepping to Fabinho, and you have Busquets stepping to Keita, you still have so many numbers that are in this Liverpool zone that could harm you, because no one's picking up Wijnaldum, no one's picking up Milner. You would like to think that the fullbacks would try and stick out to Mane, and even if they push a bit higher, it was just too much of a risk. And at times, it did leave them 3v3 at the back, because eventually you have Alba possibly pushing to Milner, and they didn't want Wijnaldum, Mane, and Salah, who have the speed to run at Piqué, Roberto, and Lenglet. So they did drop off deeper, but it wasn't a big issue for Barcelona because they were compact and they did soak up the pressure, and there were key elements to their attack. Basically, one of them stemming from Lionel Messi dropping off a bit deeper, and it was a bit odd that when they did have the ball, he would drop off into midfield to make up the numbers, and there was no plan that Liverpool had set for him to really neutralize his threat. Keita jumped to him, Fabinho jumped to him, he was able to bypass those challenges and push forward, and it was a very open contest in that regard. When you look to the other elements of Barcelona's attack, Coutinho was very narrow. He was either looking to make runs in between Gomez and Matip, or he was dropping off deeper to pull out Gomez so that it could create space for Jordi Alba to push forward. So he would tuck in, Alba would be able to hold the width, and the final element to their attack was that with Busquets dropping off a bit deeper, we did eventually see Rakitic drop off into that left channel to pick up the ball and cause Barcelona some threats. So with Rakitic dropping off into that space and sometimes Vidal dropping deeper, they were looking to play diagonal balls and forward passes to harm Liverpool's backline. We saw in the earlier stages Vidal clipping a diagonal out to Jordi Alba, and he instantly located Suarez, making the run across the center backs. It beat Matip, but it was overhit, and Van Dijk was able to hold off Suarez. But that was that was just an example of what they were trying to do, and we saw this pattern play out throughout the first half. Later on, we do see Lenglet with the ball, and he's able to split Wijnaldum and Salah for Rakitic dropping into that space. Ball played into him, and then you see James Milner step to Rakitic, and we have Messi dropping off into the space in between Keita and Fabinho to get that pass. He's able to turn, break on goal, evades a few challenges before Matip is able to close him down. But just like that, Rakitic pulling players out of position, no one closing him down, Messi dropping in, they have a problem. Shortly after that, We have Rakitic again dropping off a bit deeper ahead of Wijnaldum and ahead of Salah, and with Coutinho pulling Gomez out of position. We see Alba make the run, Milner trying to track it, and Rakitic clips the ball over him. And once Alba gets that ball, we see Suarez instantly dart into the box, and he drags out both center backs, and Messi breaks free. But as the ball is pulled back for Messi, Robertson comes across to make a vital block. But just like that, Coutinho's movement, Alba pushing forward, Rakitic dropping off deeper with his range of passing, and you have Suarez making that run to free up space for Messi, and it's almost a Barcelona goal. But then we get to the goal, and it's something similar, a similar pattern. We have Vidal dropping off a bit deeper ahead of Wijnaldum and ahead of Mane. Again, the midfield dropping off ahead of the Liverpool backline, looking for that range of passing. What happens here is that we do see Messi near Gomez, and he pulls him out of position, so he occupies that space. And this time we see Coutinho looking to run off Gomez. Vidal plays that ball in, and then Gomez is forced to go to him. So when Gomez goes to him, he drops it off to Alba, and Henderson now is forced to close because Henderson had come on. So when that happens, Alba has time and space to clip the ball between Gomez and Henderson, and we see Suarez make the run. Superb pass, the weight, the timing, the speed. Suarez times it well, gets across Van Dijk, and pokes his effort past the keeper. But that was how Barcelona harmed Liverpool in the opening half. Their high press did leave them susceptible to counterattacks. They dropped off a bit deeper. They had Coutinho pulling in central and dragging out Gomez. Alba looking to make the runs in behind. Suarez constantly making those runs in behind. Messi dropping off into midfield because Liverpool didn't have a plan to shut him down. And you had Rakitic and Vidal dropping off a bit deeper to use their range of passing to find these outlets. So now let's get to the second half, see how Liverpool improved and how Barcelona were able to kill off the game. So when we do break down the second half, the key element to the opening 15 minutes was Liverpool's press. It was more aggressive. They were closing down much better, and they were forcing Barcelona into several mistakes. Like I said, Milner to Vidal. You had Fabinho stepping to Rakitic. They were pushing men out of position, and they were really stifling Barcelona in that set, and they couldn't build out of the back, and that was a big problem for them. Coutinho on several occasions losing the ball in transition, and it was just Liverpool wave after Liverpool wave after Liverpool wave. We saw Henderson crossing from the right, delivering it to Salah, who links with Wijnaldum, and eventually saw Milner force Ter Stegen into a save. Shortly after that, we did see some movement from Mane dropping off to pull out Roberto, and then we saw Robertson trying to make the run beyond Vidal. He eventually gets the ball and splits both for Robertson, and Robertson slides the ball across the center backs for Henderson, again pulling out his marker there, trying to link with Wijnaldum, and it falls to Salah, who ends up curling an effort around Rakitic and Coutinho to force again Ter Stegen into another save. And one of their final opportunities was Van Dijk locating Salah, running off Alba, taking him on 1v1 and playing it into Wijnaldum, who did dummy it, and it fell into the path of Milner, but he fired a shot at Ter Stegen. In those minutes, we see Salah making a difference, long direct play. We see Mane, we see Henderson getting involved, but this was still all about Lionel Messi. As Barcelona eventually grew into the game, they took off Coutinho, they brought on Semedo to shore things up down the right-hand side, pushed Vidal to the left, and Sergio Roberto played in a right-sided midfield role, and things balanced out in midfield, had more control of the ball. Vidal was winning tackles. Messi, again, from deeper positions, just making the difference, clipping balls in behind the defense. Did it for Vidal, making a run in behind. There was one time where we did see the Liverpool press sink in, and again, the one big problem here is that with Henderson sticking to Alba, there was no one on Vidal, so all Ter Stegen had to do was clip it out to Vidal. He dropped it off to Messi, and Messi clipped it over Henderson, Milner, and Gomez for Suarez breaking in behind, but Matip tracked it well, and the build-up to the goal again sees Messi get the ball in between the midfield from Busquets, and he turns, and as he runs forward, Fabinho does just guide it beyond Van Dijk, and we see Roberto making the run across Robertson, and it hits off him to fall to Suarez, who guides it off the post, but Messi guides it into the net. And even shortly after that, Messi dropping off deep again, no one tracking Alba, making the run in behind. So although Liverpool's pressing was key in the opening stages, although they did create chances from the wider areas and Henderson's arrival did help them out, this was about Lionel Messi dropping off deep into midfield, getting the ball, the loose balls, clipping it over the defense, like I said, for Vidal in between Milner and in between Gomez. We ended up seeing it over the top for Suarez, and then we saw it in the build-up to the goal, and he added off his influential performance with the fantastic free kick. But let me know what you guys think. Can Liverpool rescue this tie in the second leg with Firmino coming back in the starting lineup? How should Barcelona approach this game at Anfield? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.